In today's video, I am going to be breaking down 4 amazing youth basketball plays that you can run with pretty much any team if they're basically U12s and up. Some of these may be more advanced than others, but they should be simple enough to be able to run with most teams. Let's get down, let's check this out really quickly. If you want to check out my complete guide to the 5-out basketball offense, make sure to go check out the link that is down in the description below.
Okay, so this is the 4-out play. Let's say this is Chad, just as an example. If we called for Chad, he will head to the high post. Player 2 will then sink down towards the corner, and player 1 will move over towards that wing. We want player 1 to be able to pass that ball to player 4, and both player 1 and player 3 will cut to the rim. When they cut to the rim, players 5 and 2 will be popping up towards the wings. If they're open, definitely hit them with a pass, because that is our number 1 option. Player 1 and 3 will then fill out towards the corners if they don't get hit by a pass, and player 4's next option will be to hit either player 5 or player 2 with a pass. Whichever player that he passes to, he will then set a screen for that player. This will be a screen and roll towards the basket, so that player 2 will then hopefully be able to hit player 4 with a pass for a layup. If nothing happens, then player 1 will pop up towards the wing, player 4 will pop out, and we can call another play. If we call the play again and player 4 goes to the high post, let's say this is Malachi, then we would call for Malachi. He would go to the high post, player 1 sinks down, player 2 moves towards the side, and then at this time, if none of these options are open, either player 2 can reset, he can call for a screen, or if player 1 is open, he could pass to player 1 and cut towards the basket. This would then be a fantastic option, and then player 5 and 3 would then fill up. This would be just an option, just so that we can keep on the ball movement, and eventually we would want to try and work this ball back up top to reset the offense. Or player 4 can pop out and we can run our 5-out. So this play we call 1-3-1, or while we're on the court we can call it 13. Basically, we're going to have one player who goes to the high post, one player who goes towards the low post. Now we are basically in a 1-3-1 offense, also known as a 3-out high-low as well. The idea behind this offense is going up against zone defenses. We really wanted to try and get that ball into the high post to feed the low post so we can get layups. This is also going to open up opportunities for 3-point shots from the wing as well. So if player 1 passes to player 3, he's going to switch spots with player 2. If player 3 passes up to player 2, because it's a wing to point pass, we're going to have player 3 and player 1 crossing through the key, and they're going to be popping out to either side. While this happens, usually the defense will collapse onto the high post so that there's no high to low post passes, which will then leave the wing wide open so that now they may have the open passing lane to the high post. As soon as that ball gets into the high post, that player needs to face the basket, and player 5 needs to cut across the key. Because what's going to happen is the defense in a zone will then move up to guard the high post, which will leave player 5 wide open for the layup. Against a zone, this is what it'll look like. So they're going to trap up top, and if player 3 can, he could get that ball into the high post. But we really want to try and feed that ball from the wings, because what will happen is the defense will shift like this to cover this man. If he can then feed that high post, that's going to draw up player 5, and now depending on how these lower defenders are playing, he could pass to player 5 for the layup, or he could quickly pass over towards this side for the 3-point shot, and we have already somebody down low for the rebound. For our baseline inbounds, we have S high and S low. First, I'm going to show you S high. Let's say this is Jimmy, just as an example. And let's say we call S high Jimmy. That means that he runs through players 5 and 2, and they need to close in on him. That way, it should trap his defender there, and he could get himself an open shot. However, let's say player 4, Jimmy or whoever, goes through, and player 4 goes either through or over top. That means that he needs to cut in quickly to get himself a layup. It's all about reading defense. If player 4 goes underneath the screen, which they usually will, you need to then pop that shot. Either way, if you don't have that shot, let's say your man is on you, player 5 pops out, player 2 pops out, player 3 pops out, player 4 pops out, 1 pops out, and then we can swing that ball around, we can set up our 5 out, whatever. Let's say player 4 is not open after getting through that screen. He's not open. Player 5 is going to cut to the basket, player 3 is going to cut to the basket, and player 2 is going to be popping up. Player 1, first option is player 4. In this case, secondary options are players 3 and 5, and the last case resort is player 2. This next play is S and R, and in this play we're going to have player 5 and player 4 setting a screen side by side, shoulders touching. Player 1 is going to use that screen, but the main key here is both player 4 and player 5 need to set that screen both at the exact same time. Player 1 will then use that screen, and player 4 will roll towards the basket, and player 5 will pop for a 3-point shot. The number 1 option, depending on who is the ball handler, will be either a 3-point shot or a pass to player 4 for the layup. Secondary option would be the player, or I should say third option would be the player popping for a 3. If none of this is open and player 4 rolls towards the rim, he will then fill out towards the open spot, and we can then run our 5 out, or player 1 can then, of course, set up the offense once again.
I hope that this video has helped your team win more games. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.